Hello everybody, how are we all doing? Can you believe it's now less than a week away till Christmas Day, which means it's also less than 2 weeks away till the end of the year. But don't worry, I do still have time to go through one more load of pickups with you all before we get to the end of 2024. But before I do that, I do just want to say a massive thank you to each and every single one of you who have helped support the channel. Whether you're just watching videos, liking, commenting, or joining me on my weekly live streams every Saturday night from 7 p.m. I genuinely cannot tell you just how much I appreciate all the help and support you guys give. We've had some absolutely incredible memories this year. I don't think I'm ever going to forget running up and down the local river chasing rubber ducks. I must have looked like an absolute madman while I was doing that, but it is truly one of my highlights of this year, one of my fondest memories. I absolutely love doing that for you all, and I genuinely cannot wait till the weather gets a bit warmer so I can jump back in the river and do a few more live action duck races for you guys. But with that being the case, let's get onto these pickups and find out what I've been buying. So the first items I've been able to pick up are the first three in the current series of Zombox silverbacks. I'm sorry if there's a bit of glare here, it's very difficult with the silver and the plastic, but right here we have the Pandemonium silverback. Now these are all based on the current series of Zombox coins. The first on this series was the Pandemonium, which is an homage to the Chinese panda bullion coin. As you can see right here, we've got a panda amongst the trees who's clearly been infected by the zombie virus. I mean, just look at that one side of that panda. I've always said I think this is my favourite of the current series. I really do like the Pandemonium coin. It was the coin that got me onto the series. I wasn't actually aware of the first Zombox series. I jumped onto this at the beginning of the second series. I do have all of the first series in copper bullion, and I've got the current series in both 1 ounce silver bullion, 1 ounce copper bullion, and now I have the first three in silverbacks too. I'm hoping to get myself a Mortuga, which is the fourth and most recent release from Provident Metals. Unfortunately, I don't have that yet, but I have a feeling it may be turning up on the channel very soon, so just bear with me on that one. But as I say, for now we have this one right here, which is the Pandemonium Zombox silverbacks. At the bottom of the note, you can see right here, these are all made with 1/1000th of a troy ounce of pure silver. Kind of makes the silver content quite negligible, really. 1/1000th of an ounce of silver really doesn't have much value to it whatsoever, but what gives these their value is the fact that they're so absolutely stunningly beautiful. I love the artwork on all of the silverbacks. That's including the original Dragon silverback as well. I can remember when I first saw them on 365 Days of Silver's channel, I absolutely fell in love with them, and I had to get myself some for the collection. I really did. I genuinely think these are absolutely gorgeous things, and very much worth the money in my opinion for how nice they are as a collectible item. But we don't just have the Pandemonium. As I say, we have the first three. So the first one to be released was the Pandemonium, and then after that we had the Kookaburra, which is an homage to the Australian Perth Mint Kookaburra, which they issue a new coin every year. I think they've been running that series since 1990, if I'm not mistaken, and they have a beautiful new design every single year. It's a series that I love in itself. I do intend to backstack the Kookaburra series eventually. As I say, it's a very large series, so it is going to take some time for me to get all the way back to 1990, but I do generally tend to chip off at least a few every single year. So yes, this is the zombified version, and as you can see right there, we have a zombified Kookaburra at the bottom of the note there. This one's set to a cityscape in the background there. As you can see, we've got some high-rise tower buildings. It looks like we've got a few windows missing in this one, just to show that it is set during the zombie apocalypse. Now these do have a date a few years in the future. You'll notice that these ones are dated 2026. I believe the most recent ones are 2027, and if I get the Kangarooin, which is the third one, you can see I'm absolutely right. It's 2027 on the Kangarooin, but these two are both dated 2026. They do that because the zombie apocalypse is set to happen in the future, and this is the currency of the apocalypse according to Provident Metals. Provident Metals being the company that produces these items. I don't think they would have made the actual silverbacks themselves. I think they would have been working in conjunction with silverbacks to produce these. but Provident Metals are the company that released the actual Zombooks coinage. So if we take a closer look at the design of this one, as you can see, you've got the zombified kangaroo, which is what gives this piece its name, the Kangarooing. And we can clearly see that this one's set in Sydney, as we have the Sydney Opera House in the background right there. Fun fact, a lot of people think Sydney is the capital of Australia. It actually isn't. The capital of Australia is Canberra, and that's something that catches a lot of people out there, so you may not have known that. Apologies if you did, but you may have learned something there. So they're the first pickups I've got to go through with you all. The next three are all 1 ounce silver bars. I'm really getting into my silver bars at the moment. And the first one I have to share with you all is the brand new Marquee Peacock bar as issued by Scottsdale. Now, unfortunately, I can't show you both sides of this bar because it is carded, and unfortunately, Scottsdale don't have a window on the back there for us to take a little peek at. But using the magic of editing, if you look right there, you should be able to see the other side on screen, which has a beautifully elegant depiction of a peacock, which is where this gets its name, the Marquee Peacock bar. I think it really is a stunning piece of silver. I think Scottsdale have really hit the nail on the head with this piece. It's an absolutely stunning design on it. I've always been a fan of the Scottsdale pieces, whether or not it's the St. Michael's bar or Vortex bar, etc., etc. I do think Scottsdale do some fantastic pieces of silver. They really do. I am going to be keeping this one in the card, but I'm hoping to pick up another version of this bar so I can have it loose with my other bars so I can enjoy both sides of it. Right here on the front, we have a new take on the classic marquee design for Scottsdale. We also have the Scottsdale line in the centre, and around that it reads Scottsdale Mint Marquee. At the bottom of the bar, we've got 1 troy ounce 999 fine silver. So an absolutely beautiful piece. I've got to say a massive thank you to Cy the Soundman who helped me grab this. He had a few to spare and was more than happy to sell one to me. So as I say, Cy, thank you very much for that. And also a massive shout out to Tech the Coin Hunter, who was the guy who helped me pick up the Zombooks silver packs. He recently purchased them for himself and he let us know in Stackers Social. I asked him if they were still available and he said they were, so he was able to sort me out those absolutely stunning pieces. And as I say, Cy the Soundman was helpful enough to help me grab the marquee bar. The next few items have come directly from the Royal Mint, the first of which is the most recent in the Star Wars series of bars as issued by the Royal Mint. This one here is celebrating the dark side. We had the original one, which is this one right here, celebrating the light side, and then we've got this one for the dark side. Now, this one right here, a lot of people, myself included, we're not massively appreciative of the design. It's not the greatest design. In fact, it got a lot of bad publicity due to how comical the design is. Now, one of the reasons for that is these depictions are actually based on the comic book versions of the characters. So that's one of the reasons why they do look a bit cartoony in the bar. But if we look at the most recent one, the Dark Side one, I actually think this one's got a really, really nice design to it. I'm going to swap over to this camera because I think the glare is a little bit too much on the top-down camera. But as I say, right here in the foreground, we have the man himself, Darth Vader, with one of his stormtroopers stood behind him, and in the background we have the first Death Star. I can tell it's the first Death Star because it's fully complete and is not under construction, which means this is the first Death Star that was blown up by the Rebel Alliance. We've got the Star Wars logo at the top, accompanied by the Royal Mint logo on the left-hand side as well. If we flip it over, we've got the details of the bar. We can see that we've got a weight of 1 troy ounce. The alloy is 999.9 fine silver. And we've got Annie Jessup's Deputy Master and Chief Executive. Looking at the bar itself, I think this has got an absolutely stunning design to it. It's quite different to the previous bar. This one had the hyperspace style background, and this one is a bit more of an industrial style background, if you ask me. I think, as with the other pieces Royal Mint have produced for Star Wars, they do credit the design to the company itself, not to an individual. I've said it before, I personally prefer to see an individual getting credited on these pieces, but it's great to know that this design was produced by the actual company Disney itself. So, as I say, that's the 2 Star Wars 1 ounce bars issued by the Royal Mint up to date, and I definitely think they are improving on the designs based on the dark side bar on the left right there. Next up, we have my favourite of these pickups, And dare I say, this is actually my new favourite bar. It's the first in an ongoing series issued by the Royal Mint, and that is the Viking God series. And we're kicking it off with the man, the legend, Odin himself, also known as the All-Father. Now, a little bit of Viking history, if you were unaware. Odin is the wisest and king of the Aesir gods when it comes to Norse mythology. There are other types of gods in Norse mythology, the main ones being the Vanir and the Aesir. A lot of people are familiar with the goddess Freya, due to the recent Marvel films. Now, Marvel do portray Freya as being Odin's wife. That's not technically correct. He was married to a goddess named Frigg. Frigg was the mother of Thor, not Freya. And Freya, actually, when you look at the mythology, was more of a prisoner of war than anything else. There was a war between the Vanir and the Aesir gods, led by Odin, and after that war was completed, there was an exchange of hostages where the Aesir gods received Freya and the Vanir gods received a god of knowledge from the Aesir. Now, I forget the name of that god right now. I will try to remember to put it on screen. But yeah, as I say, Odin was the king of the Aesir gods. Other notable races obviously include the Jotnar, but I digress. So let's have a quick look at the actual details of the bar itself. So we can see we've got Odin sat on his throne with his spear Gungnir in hand and his crows Hugin and Munin on his shoulders. The crow Hugin represents memory and Munin represents thought. Lying down at Odin's feet, we have his two pet wolves named Geri and Freki, whose names translate to ravenous and greedy one, which indicates their insatiable appetites. Odin created his two wolf companions when he was on a journey in Midgard. He created them to give himself a little bit of company while he was on his travels. And if you're a dog owner yourself, I'm sure you can understand the logic behind that. What better companion is there than our canine furry friends? But what detail is on this bar? It's absolutely gorgeous. It really is. I love the way we've got Odin depicted right there. I think the details around him are absolutely fantastic, and you've got some Furic runes right there at the top. But let's have a look at the other side of the bar. We can see, once again, we've got the same details at the top. We've got weight, 1 troy ounce, the alloy, 999.9 fine silver, and we've got some details of Annie Jessup, the Deputy Master and Chief Executor of the Royal Mint. Looking at the bar itself, it's got quite a plain background. Now, it is very slightly textured, but in the same respect, it's a bit plain as well. But that's okay, because all of the detail that I want to see is on the front of this bar right here. I will definitely be displaying it that way round. But once again, as per usual, we have the name and logo of the Royal Mint. We've got the size of 1 ounce and the details of 999.9 fine silver just below it as well. And just below that, we have a Norse-themed dragon pattern just there as well. Not only that, I also want to let you guys know that unlike the Star Wars and other previous bars I purchased from Royal Mint, they are doing this series in an absolutely beautiful 1 ounce silver bar box right here. We've got a very Viking-esque design on the front of the bar. We've got a Viking longship full of warriors at the bottom right there, and Odin riding his horse above there. I do take a little bit of issue with this picture right here. As we all know, Odin's horse had 8 legs, not 4. Come on, Royal Mint, get it right. Odin had an 8-legged horse. If you don't know where Odin got his horse from, its mother was actually Loki, who turned himself into a horse as part of one of his ill-gotten tricks. And yeah, it didn't turn out too well for Loki. He went missing for a little while, came back with a sheepish look on his face and a 8-legged horse. Odin complimented him on the horse, and Loki basically says, look, if you keep your mouth closed, you can have the horse. Just don't ask me where it came from. You may think I'm joking. That is actually part of the Norse mythology. And yeah, definitely look that up. It's the story of how the gods arranged to have their wall built in Asgard. It's quite a funny story. It's definitely one of the more light-hearted of the Norse mythology stories. But to sum it up, basically, the gods made a bet with one of the giants that he couldn't build a wall within a year. Loki said to the gods, I think this is a brilliant idea. There's no way he's going to finish it within a year. So let's just make the bet. He'll build most of the wall, and then the time will run up, and then all we need to do is just finish off the wall. It's going to save us a load of time, effort and money. So I generally cannot see this going wrong. Unfortunately, the giant was able to enlist the help of his mighty horse that carried all the stone over to him and made it a lot easier and quicker for him to build the wall. The gods panicked a little bit because, as part of the bet, if the giant built the wall within a year, he got to keep the goddess Freya. So there was a little bit of an issue there. And Loki said, look, don't worry. I said he won't build it in a year, and I stand to that. Just leave it with me. And what Loki did, he's turned himself into a mare, caught the eye of the giant's horse that was helping him, made the horse chase him off, and then, as I say, Loki went missing for a little while, and then returned with this new baby horse, whose name was Sleipnir, and as I say, that became the 8-legged horse of Odin. So, points deducted, Royal Mint, for a slight error there, but top marks all round for everything else. I think the way it's been presented is absolutely gorgeous. If I open the box, I think this is interesting. This box has been specifically designed to house and hold a 1 ounce bar. So if I pop that in there, you'll see what I mean. It's a little bit like a miniature guardhouse box, and I think that's an absolutely fantastic touch, Royal Mint. I really do. And as I say, apart from the discrepancy on the number of legs on Odin's horse, full marks for this bar. I can see big things happening in this series, and I'm not just saying that because I'm really biased and I'm a huge fan of Vikings. Okay, maybe I am, but I do think it's going to be a great series. It's definitely for me. I'm definitely going to be picking up all of these bars that are issued. Now, I'll make a few guesses on which of the Pantheon we're likely to see going forward. I think the next bar is probably going to be 4. I think we're going to definitely need to see a 4 bar. There's definitely going to need to be a Loki bar as well. I think Odin, Thor and Loki, they're the top 3 when it comes to the Viking gods, aren't they? Further to that, we may see Balder. I mentioned Frigg, the wife of Odin earlier in the video. We may see a bar for Frigg as well. We may also see a bar for Freya as well. But other than that, I think the only other god I can think of that would probably be on these bars is Balder. Balder was the strongest of the Norse gods, even stronger than the mighty Thor himself, but unfortunately fell victim to one of Loki's pranks. But that's a story for another video. As I say, a great series and one that I'm really looking forward to collecting the rest of the items of. But that is my latest pickups and last pickups of 2024. But that's about all I've got time for today. I've probably rabbled on a little bit too long about the Norse mythology, so I do apologise about that. It's just something that I really love talking about. So, as I say, that's probably enough for me now. I've definitely rabbled on for long enough, so I am going to leave you all in the usual fashion by saying, until next time, as usual, look after each other, keep stacking, take care, and goodbye.